Hello everyone, this is chapter 3 in the earliest cities. Classics history. Saving an old building. Jaspal and Harpreet were playing cricket in the lane outside their home when they noticed the people who were admiring the dilapidated old building that the children called the haunted house. Look at the architecture, said one of men. Have you seen the fine wood carving? Asked one of women. We must write to the minister so that she makes arrangements to repair and preserve this beautiful house. Why, they wondered. Would anybody be interested in the old run down house? The story of Harappa. Very often, old buildings have a story to tell. Nearly 150 years ago, when railway lines were being laid down for the first time in the Punjab, engineers stumbled upon the site of Harappa in the present day Pakistan. To them, it seemed like a mound that was a rich source of ready to made, high quality bricks. So they carried off thousands of bricks from the walls of the old buildings of the city to build railway lines. Many buildings were completely destroyed. Then, about 80 years ago, archaeologists found the site and realized that this was one of the oldest cities in the subcontinent, as this was the first city to be discovered. All other sites from where similar buildings and other things were found were described as Harappan. These cities developed about 4,700 years ago. Very often, old buildings are pulled down to make way for new constructions. Do you think it is important to preserve old buildings? What was special about these cities? Many of these cities were divided into two or more parts. Usually, the part of the west was smaller but higher. Archaeologists describe this as the citadel. Generally, the a part of the east was larger but lower. This is called the lower town. Very often, walls of baked bricks were built around each part. The bricks were so well baked that they have lasted for thousands of years. The bricks were laid in an interlocking pattern that made the walls strong. In some cities, special buildings were constructed on the citadel. For example, in Mohenjo-daro, a very special tank, which archaeologists call the Great Bath, was built in this area. This was lined with bricks, coated with plaster, and made watertight with a layer of natural tar. There was steps leading down to it from two sides, while there were rooms on all sides. Water was probably brought in from a well and drained out after use. Perhaps important people took a dip in this tank on special occasions. Other cities such as Kalibangan and Lothal and fire altars where sacrifices may have been performed, and some cities like Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, and Lothal had elaborate storehouses. Sketch map not to sell. Arabian Sea, Lothal, Sutkorda, Dholavira, Chanudro, Sutko, Sutkako, Mohenjo-daro, Indus River, uh, Kalibangan, Rakhigari, Harappan, Gangaviravala, River Ravi, Chenab, Jhelum, and the earliest cities in the subcontinent. These sites were found in the Punjab and Sindh in Pakistan and in Gujarat, Rajasthan, Haryana, and the Punjab in India. Archaeologists have found a set of unique objects in almost all these cities. Red pottery painted with design in black, stone weight seals, special beads, copper tools, and sided long stone blades. Look at the picture. The Great Bath. Houses, drains, and streets. Generally, houses were either one or two stories high, with rooms built around a country yard. Most houses had a separate bathroom area and some had wells to supply water. Many of these cities had covered drains. Notice how carefully these were laid out in straight lines. Although you cannot see it, each drain had a gentle slope so that water could flow through it. Very often, drains in house were connected to those on the streets, and smaller drains led into bigger ones. As the drains were covered, inspection holes were provided at intervals to clean them. All three houses, drains, and streets were probably planned and built at the same time. List at least two differences between the houses described here and those that you studied about in chapter 2. How bricks were arranged to build walls in Harappan cities. Life in the city. A Harappan city was a very busy place. There were people who planned the construction of special buildings in the city. These were probably the rulers. It is likely that the rulers sent people to distant lands to get metal, precious stones, and other things that they wanted. They may have kept the most valuable objects, such as ornaments of gold and silver, or beautiful beads, for themselves. And there were scribes, people who knew how to write, who helped prepare the seals, and perhaps wrote on other materials that have not survived. Besides, there were men and women craftspersons making all kinds of things either in their own homes or in a special workshop. People were traveling to distant lands or returning with raw material and perhaps stories. Many terracotta toys have been found, and children must have played with these. Make a list of the people who lived in the city. Were any of these listed as living in villages such as Mehergarh? Look at the picture. Top, a street in Mohenjo-daro with a drain, and above a well. For left, a Harappan seal. The signs on the top of the seal are part of a script. This is the earliest form of writing known as the subcontinent. Scholars have tried to read these signs, but we still do not know exactly what they mean. Left, terracotta toys. New craft in the city. Let us look at some of the objects that were made and found in Harappan cities. Most of the things that have been found by archaeologists are made of stone, shell, and metal, including copper, bronze, gold, and silver. Copper and bronze was used to make tools, weapons, ornaments, and vessels. Gold and silver were used to make ornaments and vessels. Perhaps the most striking finds are those of beads, weights, and blades. The Harappan also made seals but out of stone. These are generally rectangular. See illustrations on page 27 and usually have an animal carved on them. The Harappans also made pots with beautiful black designs, such as the one shown on page 6. Was metal used in the village you learnt about in chapter 2? Was the stone used to make weights? Cotton was probably grown at Mehergarh from about 7,000 years ago. Actual price of clothes were found attached to the lead of silver vase and some copper objects at Mohenjo-daro. Archaeologists have also found spindle walls. You can see the pictures, and this is the ornament. Top, stone weights. Notice how carefully and precisely these weights are shaped. These were made of chert, a kind of stone. These were probably used to weight precious stone or metals. Right. Beads, many of these were made out of a carnelian, a beautiful red stone. The stone was cut, shaped, polished, and finally a hole was bored through the center so that a string could be passed through it. For right, stone blades. Bottom right, embroidered cloth. A A stone statue of an important man found from Mohenjo-daro shows him wearing an embroidered garment. Fence. Unlike stone or shell that are found naturally, fence is a material that is artificially produced. A gum was used to shape sand or powdered quartz into an object. The object was were then glazed, resulting in a shiny glassy surface. The colors of the glaze were usually blue or sea green. Fence was used to make beads, bangles, or earrings, and tiny vessels made of terracotta and fence. These were used to spin thread. Many of the things that were produced were probably the work of specialists. A specialist is a person who is trained to do only the kind of work. For example, cutting stone or polishing beads or carving seals. Look at the illustrations page 28 and see how well the face is carved and how carefully the beard is shown. This must have been the work of an expert craftsperson. Not everybody could have been a specialist. We do not know whether only men were specialists or only women were specialists. Perhaps some women and men may have been specialists. In search of raw materials. Raw materials are substances that are either found naturally, such as wood or ores of metals, or produced by farmers or herders. These are then processed to produce finished goods. For example, cotton produced by farmers is a raw material that may be processed to make cloth, while some of the raw materials that the Harappans used were available locally. Many items such as copper, tin, gold, silver, and precious stones had to be brought from distant places. The Harappans probably got copper from present day Rajasthan and even from Oman in West Asia. Tin, which was mixed with copper to produce bronze, may have been brought from present day Afghanistan and Iran. Gold could have come all the way from present day Karnataka and precious stones from present day Gujarat, Iran, and Afghanistan. How were goods carried from one place to another? Look at the illustrations. One shows the toy and the other is a seal. Can you suggest what models of transport used by Harappans were? were? Did you come across illustrations of wheeled vehicles in earlier lessons?